Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining us for a very special edition of Stay Free with Russell Brand. Today I'm joined by Neil Oliver and Lara Logan. Although Lara Logan hasn't disappeared. Ironically, she's disappeared while travelling from the United States to Mexico, which is usually where the people that she's obsessed with being trafficked disappear, that very route, but in reverse. Lara Logan will be with us next week. We've waited quite late, Neil, to do this with Lara. And Lara, there's no nice way of putting it, stood us up. If wherever you're watching us, X, YouTube, we'll be with you for a while. Then we'll be exclusively available on Rumble, where we're talking about the key stories of this week and how they impact unfolding global media narratives. Neil Oliver is the person in the world I'd most like to discuss these matters with after Lara Logan, and she's not turned up. So it's me and you, Neil. Thank you for staying awake in the Highlands.
I'm absolutely delighted to be with you. It's not really all that late here in the northern latitudes of the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
It's late in northern Florida. Here on the Redneck Riviera, there's no way. We are in the it's twilight at best. Let's have a look at our first story, mate. Let's have a look at 30 seconds of RFK speaking to the confirmation hearing.
There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits, so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
you're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah,
you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Neil, what fascinates me mostly about RFK's confirmation hearing is that RFK is a kind of living synecdoche for so many issues. Can we rely on conspiracy theories? What are our views on vaccines? Is an alliance between former liberals and Republicans desirable, even possible? What did you see much of the confirmation hearing, and what did you think?
I did. I watched. I dipped in and out of it, and I just find it depressing. I find we were all of us were psyched up with the idea that something new was coming in, and I think a very significant part of the inspiration for the thought that there was going to be something new was the idea of RFK Jr. I don't think Donald Trump would have had the success that he had in the election had it not been for RFK Jr. Standing alongside him, and to see him being pulled apart and attacked in the way that he has been, across the board in that way, I just find deeply depressing. I felt that the RFK Jr.'s association with that incoming administration was significant, and I even begin to wonder now if we're going to see any of that potential realised at all. Given the way that he's being pecked at and picked at in the hearing that's going on just now.
Do you think that if he gets into office at all, it will be in an impaired way, or do you think that the hearing indicates to us that there are entrenched bureaucratic powers that are immovable? And how do you think? And do you think that it's significant in the light of the recent announcement that there will be investigation into AI mRNA vaccines, and to see Albert Bourla confidently addressing Davos and talking about cancer vaccines as if the pandemic never happened. Because another thing that RFK, I suppose, represents is how much the world changed during the pandemic, how many people came to different perspectives, including maybe to a degree you and I, among the sort of, I suppose billions or certainly hundreds of millions of people who lost their trust in the medical and scientific establishment along with the government and legacy media. But RFK, in a sense, is the central beneficiary of that sea change, you could argue, certainly if he does indeed become the Secretary for Health of the United States of America in a way that's meaningful. Do you think that seeing the sort of announcement that there will be further investigation into AI, mRNA technologies, and to see Bourla confidently posturing at Davos indicates that the world's not changed overnight with the election of Donald Trump?
Well, it does look as though the world has not changed overnight. I would like to think, in my sort of dream assessment of what's going on, I'd like to think that behind the scenes, RFK Jr. had a head in hands moment when he was listening to Larry Ellison of Oracle Corporation, speak about tailored mRNA vaccines and 48-hour prescriptions for a personalized mRNA jab that was going to protect an individual from a cancer that artificial intelligence had identified. That person might be vulnerable to in the future. And then, yes, then the fact that Bill Gates has been out there celebrating the fact that he was at Mar-a-Lago for 3 hours, talking to Donald Trump, and apparently they had a very enthusiastic conversation about the perpetuation of the development of this kind of technology. And then Bourla of Pfizer at Davos, trumpeting more of the same. I find it deeply depressing. I spoke to, I'm sure you have as well, or you've probably had the opportunity at least to listen to Ed Dowd, former BlackRock investment manager turned whistleblower. I spoke to him, and he was talking about a red line for him, that if he didn't hear the new administration in short order on getting into office pull mRNA, the platform, as having been a danger to human life, that was going to be a very significant moment for him. And already, just a week into the new administration, to hear the usual suspects, Bill Gates, Bourla, you're talking up, but Larry Ellison at Oracle talking up the potential of mRNA, artificial intelligence, tailor making these, targeted, warheads, I think was the language that Bourla used. It breaks my heart.
Oh no. Yeah, because to some degree it felt like about turns from Zuckerberg and the news that Facebook would be opening up again, as if after the fall of some cyber iron curtain, could be regarded as heartening. But it seems that your analysis, Neil, is this is just the repoing of the pieces on the chessboard of power. Zuckerberg sort of shifts a little to the left, Gates shuffles a little to the right, Larry Ellison announces mRNA technology, and before you know it, it's as if nothing changed when it appeared like, oh wow, Trump, this weird, it's not sort of weird in a sense, a sort of in some regard, a stereotype of what a president might be. I've said before, Neil, I keep saying it, like an American mystic, the idea America has of itself came alive. A McDonald's eating, jet flying with his own name on it, sort of American mystic. But what, after the 2016 presidency, where, what really changed? I sometimes ask people from either side that are sort of incredibly excited by these things. What seemed more interesting this time, at least, was in particular, the alliance with RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, and we've touched on this before, but if all that can be somehow muted, neutered, diluted, and isn't effective and meaningful, then I start to wonder what silhouette becomes visible in the midst of the manoeuvring of true global power.
I've long suspected, people like yourself, people like me, we've been, very troubled by what we've read and understood about mRNA, about the determination, to get the mass of the population into some kind of regime, whereby we live in expectation of the next unsolicited medical intervention. And I've always, for the longest time, I tried to swim clear of, to kick away from the idea that we were being herded towards some kind of, digital cage, some kind of imprisonment from which it was hard to escape. I've listened to other commentators that I trust talking about in the context of the situation in the United States, where people depend upon health insurance in order to get treatment for whatever, and the idea that a situation like that, which is made possible by this idea of biannual injections for mRNA, that if people didn't submit to that cycle, that it would be quite easy to invalidate, or for health insurance to invalidate people's policies if they weren't prepared to stand in line to get these anti-cancer prophylactics, all of which makes sense to me. And in so many ways, I have been, I have been, living in expectation of, in fear of the continued development of the means by which we would be put into positions where we had even less choice, even less freedom. And to hear in the first few days of the new administration in the White House, seeming to facilitate the further development of the very thing that I fear, to be quite honest with you, I keep on saying to people, wait and see, be optimistic, give people the benefit of the doubt. But already, I think the mood music is suggestive of we're just on the same tracks. We're still being moved in the same direction, and I find that profoundly troubling.
We can't continue on X and YouTube and Facebook or wherever. We're going to be exclusively available for the rest of this conversation on Rumble. Click the link over in the description now.